Hey, it's Vortex. I'm going to be doing some running commentary here on this gameplay footage of the new game, Depth. If you haven't heard of Depth, it is a first-person diving simulator from the indie game developers Digital Connectioners. Now, I personally have trouble saying that name. I don't really know if that's a right word, Connectioners, but hey. Anyway, this game is kind of unique in that you can play as either the divers or as the sharks. If you happen to be on the diving team, your goal is to collect as much gold and treasure as possible. And you do that by protecting your submersible. His name is Steve, and he's controlled by the surface, so he automatically moves across the map, opening safes. As a diver, you follow that submersible around, and you protect him from the sharks. Now, if you happen to be on the sharks, one, you're outnumbered. That's the first thing you're going to notice. It's a 2v4 game. So if you are a shark, your goal is to chase the divers and essentially destroy Steve. There's another way to win though, and it's much more common. Both teams start the game with 30 respawn tickets, which you'll see in a second. When that happens, you'll notice that in this game, you'll actually notice that the way the team wins is just by depleting respawn tickets, and that's pretty typical. Actually, you know what? I may have misspoken. We'll have to see at the end of this clip. I think that they may actually destroy Steve, but we do run out of respawn tickets. I know that. Anyways, so I'm a diver here. I actually haven't had the opportunity to play too much as sharks, so I can't commentate a whole lot about what that's like, but I can say that it is pretty fun to play as a diver. As long as you're working as a team with your friends, or the random people you get matched up with, like I am in this case, you have a pretty good chance of winning. It's not too unfair, and it doesn't really feel like a broken game. Now, one comment I typically have been making is that it feels a little bit like I'm playing Counter-Strike underwater here. Just kind of a hard feeling to describe, but just kind of how it feels. Now, there are quite a few guns you can pick from. I think you unlock them as you level up, so I don't really know all of them yet, because I'm not maxed out on level or anything. The game's only been out for a day, and I've played maybe 4 or 5 rounds. But, if I'm not mistaken, there's 3 in each class of weapon, which would mean 3 handguns, 3 primary weapons, 3 spear guns, something like that. But there's enough weapons that it feels kind of unique to switch between the weapons. I personally feel like the pistols feel pretty much the same. The biggest difference in weapons is whether you choose to use a spear gun or an assault rifle. Now, I don't know if they actually have underwater assault rifles, but hey, I'm not upset. The one thing I have noticed about this game is that sharks are actually they typically seem harder to play. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to play as sharks, but I would not be surprised to find out that it's much harder to be a shark than it is to be a diver. I ran out of ammo here, so I kind of just have to swim around. I couldn't decide if it was better for me to die or just, hang out. Didn't really have a choice in the matter, it appears. I do kind of like that system. You have a kind of a last chance there if you get picked up by a shark. You can see there are a couple of the weapons. I ended up buying the twin pistols, which I think may have been a mistake. I should have just waited and saved up for an assault rifle. But hey. It's kind of strange to have twin pistols and then also have my revolver there. The item I just dropped that you saw right before I got devoured by a big angry fish was a sensor buoy, and that gives you an idea of whether or not the sharks are coming, and if they are, what direction they'll be. One thing that I did notice this game, your consumables don't disappear if you die. So if you place a mine and you die, your mine will still be there, meaning you can place infinite mines. Keep in mind though, you're giving up a ticket every time that you die. Here we're just protecting Steve while we wait for the sharks. Yep, see, typically I've noticed, again, this is just things I've noticed, that if you stay up high, you're much less likely to get eaten by a shark because they tend to go for the people who are at ground level. It's usually impossible to kill a shark in that position if you're getting munched on. But if you have a teammate who's nearby, you can do enough damage that one of you guys will end up getting a kill. It's usually just a system to help your teammate save you while you're being chewed up and swallowed by an angry fish. I was actually kind of disappointed though. This game didn't scare me too much. I expected a lot of jump scares as I was playing, but I really didn't get too many. If you're someone who's terrified of sharks, it might have that effect on you, but for me, it was more of just feeling like I was playing a fish food simulator. If they had noticed I was there, I would have been dead. You get pretty mutilated and torn up in this game. So if you're one who really doesn't like gore, it may not be the game for you. And here you can see the underwater assault rifle, which again, I don't know if those exist, but hey, if I get to use it to kill a shark, I'm not going to complain too much. Most of the areas where there are safes, which is, you know, where you're going to be defending Steve at, because he stays at those for quite a while, are pretty similar. So the game can get repetitive. You'll notice that pretty much all of those rooms have a roof entrance, a floor entrance, and a couple side entrances. So that was an example in which my teammate helped me out while I was stabbing him. And I attempted to repay the favor, but I had to reload, so I just had to settle for revenge. I hate when super alien hand penis grabs my friends and eats them, so I have to put the hurt on that super alien hand penis. I thought that was a dead shark. That's not a dead shark. Look at that. It's like, I look away and he's like, oh yeah, I'm here. I was so sure that was a dead shark. The mines actually can kill you. What just happened there? A super alien hand penis ran into a mine and he died, but when he did so, he killed the guy who planted the mine. That can definitely happen. To make mines kind of an interesting mechanic. If a shark is willing to give up a ticket, they can get kills with them. Sometimes more than one. You get kind of used to hearing the heartbeat in your ears. There are very few places on the map where you don't actually feel like you're about to get eaten by a shark. And that will get louder as the sharks get closer to you. One thing that I think takes away from the jump scare factor is that you know the sharks are coming. But I guess, since it is a competitive game, they need to keep that in account. And it's not just a scary game, it's also competitive. Although, a first-person shooter that was similar to this, you know, that wasn't quite so competitive. Hey, knife kill. Where you were just... It was just like a storyline shooter like Metro or Far Cry, where you played as an underwater diver. Might be pretty interesting. You could take away some of these warning mechanics and just get eaten by sharks all the time. And then one of the scariest things for me in Far Cry was always getting in water, because I have a video game phobia of being underwater. So this game's a little weird for me. It's not so bad because you spawn underwater, but if you had to like get in the water, if you could stand and land and had to get in the water, I would be terrified of this game. I have a video game phobia of water, and I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. It's because in Duke Nukem on the N64, I remember when I was pretty young, there was a map. I didn't play that game very much, but I remember playing it a couple times, and there was a map. It had a sea monster thing in like this fountain you could step in. That coupled with Jak and Daxter, which I played later, I just got a phobia. Hate swimming underwater or in water in games. Jak and Daxter, it was like not even fair. You know, swim out too far, you just get swallowed. It's kind of like this game. If you swim away from your teammates, you just get eaten. Someone asked me if they should buy this game. My response would be to ask if they're okay with feeling like fish food, because if you are a diver, you die pretty much constantly. And I have a feeling that as a shark, even though there's only 2 of you, so you have to die. You die less frequently. It feels like you're dying pretty consistently because you don't have any kind of long-range defense, and divers have spear guns, which are kind of like mini sniper rifles. I was out here exploring the depths. I was hoping to get some kills and catch up on tickets, but they didn't come out after me, so... Ooh. That did scare the crap out of me when I was playing. Moments like that are a lot scarier than when they just grab you, because when they grab you, you already know it's over. But moments where you just kind of see their tail or something, that's pretty scary. The levels, seeing that text reminds me, the levels are pretty well designed. You actually have pretty good environments to play around in, and if you want to explore a little bit while trying to avoid the sharks, you can see some pretty neat things. And for those who are worried about performance, the graphics are pretty customizable. I have these on more or less the highest settings, and you're capable of actually even turning up everything off. I think you can turn off vegetation, and you can turn off the ambient fish as well. So you shouldn't be too worried about performance in this game. I didn't even see where that guy came from. I remember that in the game. It was just there. Just ate me. You can see up there we just ran out of tickets. So once you die after you've run out of tickets, there actually is no way to come back. You kind of just deal with it. I mean, if your teammates happen to be super clutch, which is rare in this game because you really need to have people watching out for you in this game as the divers. And I believe what happens in this game, we will run out of tickets pretty soon. I think I die right here. I get double teamed. It's kind of hard to survive against 2 sharks at one time. So trying to protect Steve, my valiant effort, I end up dying. And when I do that, our last diver kind of just sits in the dive tank, and instead of protecting Steve, just watches him get killed from afar. Yep, here we go. Here we go, this guy. Yeah, he just kind of watches Steve get eaten by sharks from afar. The only way he could have won here, we actually did have a chance. If he had gone down and protected Steve, Steve could have gotten back to the cage and we could have won. But this just gives you an idea of what it looks like when the sharks win, and what their objective is. I don't know. If I was the sharks, I might just come and eat this guy. That might be easier than killing Steve. Regardless of that, if you want my opinion on this game, I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. It's a little bit repetitive, but it is fun. It is enjoyable. Definitely something you could play with friends. I would love to have, a full team on this game. In my experience so far, though, it's a really, really fun game, even though it is pretty repetitive. So here you will see this guy just get absolutely destroyed. There he goes. Bye, bud. Alright. And there's the end of the game screen. So even though we lost, I am getting experience, and I'm getting towards new unlocks. So I'll make some gameplay videos of this maybe later when I'm better at it and the game's more understood. But until then, I hope this gave you an insight into what the game looked like, and you kind of enjoyed getting to watch a little bit of the gameplay. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it.